Optima Living operates high-quality seniors living communities across the lands now known as Alberta and British Columbia, traditional territories of diverse Indigenous peoples. We acknowledge that the lands where our communities stand and that our staff and residents call home are the traditional territories of many First Nations people, and we recognize their history. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to this very special episode of Optima Living TV. I'm so excited to have some incredibly special guests with me today. I'm going to start off with Louie from Wild Rose. I've got Scott, Chef Scott from Wild Rose. And I've got mini Chef Zara, my daughter, who is joining us on set today as well. And we're going to do a little bit of cooking.
Today, we're having the mixed green toss salad with beets and our own house Wild Rose dressing. It's made of feta cheese and olive oil and just fresh up herbs. And that's it. The next one is we're gonna do the maple miso pan-seared salmon with a pureed green peas.
All right. Well, Chef, what do we got to do? How do we get started? Let's start.
Let's do the. Let's give me the plate, please.
The plates.
Yeah.
Okay. No problem.
Let's start the on our salad first.
Okay.
So the first is we're going to dress our plate and our own Wild Rose dressing. This is Wild Rose dressing. It's a feta cheese, Dijon mustard, and olive oil and fresh herbs.
Some people talk about this, and some people it's not as apparent, but within places like Wild Rose and many of the Optima Living communities, we have many people that have dietary restrictions. Is that a problem? Like, is that hard to handle, or do you handle it?
No. As long as you know the dietary profile for the residents, you can make something else to accommodate them, and also it's better to also accommodate for the whole residents.
And sometimes I know we've helped residents discover dietary restrictions.
Yes.
That they didn't even know they had.
Yeah. Yes.
And so it's really interesting also that sometimes having that environment where people are caring for you regularly or watching up for you, engaging with you, means that we can find things that...
And also the kitchen is more important in the kitchens to know our residents' dietary profile, so they can accommodate what they need and what they don't have it in the kitchens. So it's in also the kitchen how to develop a menu for the residents, each individual, or rather to make it more a menu for general residents.
So in Scott's kitchen, we have a board on the wall with our residents who are celiac, lactose intolerant, diabetic. Food needs to be cut up a certain way, and everybody's catered to exactly their dietary requirements and how they like their food prepared, which is an important part, Ali, of the Optima Living culture. That goes across the homes from BC, Alberta. We cater to everybody, which is wonderful. And we're going to have a little taster. Chef, maybe, can have a little taste of the Zara, a little bit of the Wild Rose. By the way, special dressing. This is a secret recipe, that Wild Rose dressing, which Scott gave you some of the ingredients, okay, but it is gluten-free.
It's gluten-free, yeah.
So, Zara, what's that like? Go on, have a little taste. What's it like? Zara, what's it like?
Maybe sour and bitter.
Sour and bitter.
Sour and bitter?
Yeah, the bitter, the better.
But it actually has a really nice taste profile to it. And I guess on top of with beets and tomatoes.
Yes,
I think
tomatoes.
Really
Yes.
nice.
Yes.
Yes, and the freshness of the vegetables that make the dressing more flavorful and contrast all the taste. And we're not using a salt in here.
And why is nutrition so important for seniors?
You know, I would say 8 out of our 10 residents that come into the home have had frozen dinners. You know, they're not used to having good food all the time, or their families have been coming over as often as they can to support their loved ones. And, you know, that's a real struggle, which is where we come in as a home.
We don't often think about that, right? When we think about a seniors living community, people think about, you know, these old nursing homes where people are there and just sitting around a TV waiting for God knows what. And obviously, we do something very different at Optima.
Yeah.
But can you give me an example of a resident that you've seen change because of the food and the nutrition and what it's done and what it's enabled them to do?
Yes, we do. We have a few.
Yeah. For example, one resident that we have, she's gluten-free. she has a problem with her liver, and she's trying to avoid all the salts. And then when I went to Wild Rose, I think she has only 19% on her, in her liver. But right now, it came up to at least 28% that she's in good health. She never complained and anything about the food that she's having, because when we do the menu in Wild Roses, we have a menu for a week, but we also have alternative way to cater them, like in our restaurants. We have the a la carte also, that if they don't like the featured menu for that day, we have the a la carte they can choose and then come out in also the kitchens, all fresh.
So we have two chefs here that have prepared their base salads, as you can see. And I think we're now going to go to the next part.
Yeah, Chef Scott. What's happening?
So today, next one, we're gonna sear our salmon that are marinated in maple miso paste. So.
Oh, then I'm hovering over you, Scott. And that's the wonderful thing again. Okay, you know, it's not just about the food. Ali, this is fabulous. It's about the sharing of the food. You know, it's like when you're at a family gathering and people are there. What do you remember? Well, I remember the people I was with. I remember how I felt. Again, you know, people forget what they see, they forget what you say, but they never forget how you make them feel. And it's that dining experience. The dining component is very important, Ali. It's not just the food. The food can be great, fabulous, which it is, but it's who you're sharing it with, how it's prepared, how it's served. All those things come together to make that Optima Living dining experience, ultimately, that feeling of being at home, right? And the home-cooked food, it's home-cooked, right? So this is it. What you got going, Chef? What's happening?
So we're going to sear the salmon.
Yeah.
And then we're going to heat it up our pureed peas.
Oh,
so in Wild Rose, we always do all fresh from the beef, the chicken, for the salmon. All seafood are fresh, and all beef that are fresh from scratch, like from the prime rib, from the barbecue ribs. We always have that.
So we don't just serve frozen dinners.
Oh, no.
Just pull it out and put it in a thing.
That's what the residents more excited coming in the dining, because every time they come in the dining room, they can smell the food coming out in the kitchen, and they can feel that they're not in a residence or home care. They're still at home. Yeah. That's what
they're getting great food.
That's
Zara, what are you smelling?
You smell.
I think I smell maybe the salmon, and maybe I want it to flip over so that it sizzles on the other side.
Okay, the chef's going to bring the pan over to you.
Well, you want to try to flip it over, or you want to see it flip over?
I want to flip it over.
Oh, you want to try to flip it over?
Let's do it. Let's do it. It's all.
Be careful, eh?
It's all go here. You never quite know where it's going to go.
Yeah,
that's it, Zara.
Hold it like this.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes.
And I actually like the back of the salmon.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Okay, me too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Especially with the skin.
Ali, yeah, go on. I was going to say, going back to the residents, but everybody is treated as an individual to their needs. Everybody, and this is an Optima Living culture in all of our homes, that everybody has a voice. Everybody has a voice. You know, the chef's creating these wonderful dishes in all of our homes, but what if they want something else? What if there's something else that could be created? Yes. And this is, again, going back to everybody has a voice. Chef has, every month, food for thought.
Food for thoughts. Yeah.
Right? Just talk about that, Scott.
Every month we have food for thoughts for the residents. We're gathering all the residents once in a month in the dining room just to talk about what they love in the previous menu and what they wanted to the next menu to come in. And they're suggesting, how about like this, how about like that? Oh, we missed this. You can see the smile on their face that, oh my God, we're here. Oh my, we will love this.
Yeah.
And then after, on the end of the day, they will say to you, thank you, Scott, for doing this. I'm telling them, not only me, it's all the people here on the side.
What do you love most about your job?
Oh, doing my job is like serving my mom, because my mom also a senior. So if I cook something for her, it's like I'm cooking also with our residents. I've been here in the industry since I was 16. Now I'm turning 50. I've been around the world.
It looks like he's 25, right?
I've been around the world for many years, and I serve the Prime Minister, our own Mr. Harper. A long time ago, I met Mr. Obama, Hillary, and I served the Prime Minister in Trinidad and Tobago for 4 years. I found this place here in Edmonton that they embraced me, and that's the Optima Living. Yeah. And then on the first day, I said to myself, this will be the last of my career. I'll spend all my career here in Optima Living, because how they support us from everything, and I love coming in my kitchen in Optima Living every day, every single day, and I can spend all my day and all my entire night in the kitchen.
Yeah. Well, look, and we love having you. It's an honor and privilege to have you and to have you both. And you know, it's also interesting. Sometimes it's important to point out that Wild Rose isn't a brand new site. It isn't a building that was built last year and has the nicest carpets or the most lavish rooms or the most beautiful paint. But in general, what I found, and Louie, you may have a thought on this too, is that, I mean, a building is just 4 walls. Yeah. It's really what you do with it inside. And I think that's where you start to see that when we have the small touch and how do we properly welcome people home, that creates that incredible quality of life. And it doesn't matter what the building looks like. And the building's still very nice, but I think it's to be said that it's not about what the 4 walls look like. It's what we do within those, and that's what's really special.
What we give it to them.
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready, Sarah?
Ready, Zara?
Okay, put the salmon
Smells fabulous.
on the center of the piece.
Oh, that's great, Zara. Yeah.
Slowly, yes.
Ooh.
And then the finishing touch, you can put the diced tomato there. I'll show you, and then you put the rest. Okay. Yes, a little bit more.
It's kind of like when you grow up, you almost think about yourself and maybe your neighbors' houses.
Yeah.
Right? Every house is just 4 walls, but man, there's differences between all of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's the same thing here, that ultimately for us, it's about the 5 senses of the resident. Right? The quality of life comes down to how do we make sure we stimulate all 5 senses. We want to make it smell good. We want to make it look good. We want to make it feel good. We want that touch, all of those senses together. If we can stimulate them properly, we can engage people properly, we can give people great quality of life. We can welcome them home.
Yes, we can.
And we can have incredible people like yourselves that take care of them, because that's
yes, we do.
That's such an important part of it.
Yeah,
it's an extension of our family. So with that, should we eat?
Going to sample it. Going to taste it now. Okay.
It's big too. Like, yeah, go half of that. There you go.
The silence equates to absolute love of the food, right?
This 6-year-old is never quiet, so just you're speechless. Good? Thumbs up? You can see up. You can see up. So, Chef Scott, tell me about, like, how did you get into this? Like, what type of training do you have? How did you get into this? How has this become a passion of yours?
Oh, okay. 16 years old in the kitchen, scrubbing pans, until I get up, become as a cook. And then what I did is I bought some books, self-educated. I went some school in the Philippines for myself, and then later on I grew up. I went some hotels, nice company, restaurants, and then I went to Hyatt, and then they offered me to become a chef in Trinidad and Tobago, and then later on I'm here in Canada. So yeah, I passion in cooking is like it's in my mind. It's already here in my as a human being. The years that passed to me is being in the kitchens. Like I'm not thinking about this as a job for myself. It's a commitment for myself to produce a nice product, something new. Because when you go into the kitchens, you're learning every day. Every day, there's always something new that coming out in the kitchen. So for me, it's like learning more in the kitchen than putting up a nice product in a plate, and people will enjoy it. That's what fulfillment for myself. Seeing people eating a simple dishes, a simple dressing, a simple meal, and then you can see their eyes. They said, "Oh God, Scott, you did something else here," and that's the accomplishment for myself.
If you were to say something to individuals that are out there today not working in our industry, maybe they're at hotels, maybe they're other stuff, but you wanted to tell them something about why they should work in seniors living, what would you say to them?
Look themselves, look their parents, and then adapt it for yourself. And then when they go to in our industry, they will see that you're not just seeing other people. You're seeing your parents. You're seeing yourself. Joining in Optima Living is like a best thing ever gonna happen to yourselves. Like, wow.
You're making a difference in people's lives every single day. And it's so important.
Not only for me.
Yeah, which is what we do. It comes in.
Exactly.
We get fed well if we need it.
But you're, I think, as Louie said earlier, like you're nourishing people, but you're nourishing their soul, right? You're giving them that chance to live that great life, and it's such an honor to both share a stage with you and to learn this and see you in your craft and your passion, but also to hear your story. It's great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a privilege for us to be here.
Yeah.
So there's been an increasing interest in the microbiota of the gut, and that's the number of microorganisms living in our bowels. And they all, of course, have a very different function. The composition and function of the microbiome is essential for maintaining a healthy status. Aging is associated with changes in the gut microbiota, which are frequently associated with modifications of the gastrointestinal tract, as well as changes in dietary patterns, together with a decline in cognitive and immune function. Altogether, the changes in the microbiome appear to be associated with the development of frailty in association with aging. Now, the gut microbiota represents the largest number and concentration of microorganisms in the human body, reaching levels of 10 followed by 14 zeros in the colon. Each person harbors between 100 to 150 different species of microorganisms in their gut, and this seems to contribute to our physiology and metabolism. There's an indication of potential bad effects of the microbiota and their changes which are associated with aging. These changes are not sudden, they appear to be gradual in association with later life, and not surprisingly, lifestyle and diet are the most important drivers for those changes, highlighting the need to promote healthy dietary habits in midlife and beyond. In general, enhancement of colonic fermentation by dietary fiber, that insoluble fiber we were talking about earlier, could be considered as beneficial. This seems to strengthen the intestinal barrier against pathogens, increasing the intestinal mobility and helping to reduce inflammation. Now, you'll have heard of prebiotics and probiotics. Prebiotics are complex carbohydrates which are present in whole grains, fruits and vegetables, or can be produced industrially as supplements. These are not digested and are unabsorbed in the gastrointestinal tract until they get to the colon, where they are fermented by bacteria, and they cause changes in the composition and activity of the intestinal microbiota. Probiotics are microorganisms which are ingested, go through the gastrointestinal tract unchanged in adequate amounts, and confer health benefits to the human host. Now, there's growing interest in the food industry of prebiotics and probiotics. But despite this interest, there's a scarcity of any studies which show any particular impact. We know that we can change the microbiota and the gut bacteria, but there are no real health outcomes associated with those studies as yet. Despite this, there are many proponents of ingestion of these things, but of course, as yet, there's little evidence of effect. There is one exception to where changing the microbiota of the colon can affect human health. Many of you may have heard about Clostridium difficile infections and diarrhea. This is a bacteria which produces a toxin which causes torrential diarrhea and can cause death. Now, this is a complication of antibiotic treatment for people with severe illness. Now, people who have received fecal transplants of bacteria from uninfected people into infected people can recover and maintain benefit when these fecal transplants are done.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of OLTV. If you liked what you saw and you want to watch more, like this video and subscribe to the Optima Living channel right here on YouTube.